So you just got your first beta, congratulations. And you know what, you're used to seeing them living in cups like this. And honestly, a lot of people actually believe that they can live this way. And the truth is they can't. This is no way for them to live, let's just say that. And what typically happens is most people are going to put them in a bowl. Spend all your time waiting. And they'll make a really cool looking bowl, be decorative, it'll sit on their kitchen counter, but that's also gonna lack a lot of the things environmentally that this fish needs to thrive. It may survive, but we want them to thrive. And so that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna show you how to set up your first beta tank. And one of the easiest ways to start your new beta tank is with an all-in-one kit, because it's just gonna take care of all the worry for you. And I love this little AquaZen kit. So let's explore this thing and see what we've got. This is a little 4-gallon kit from AquaZen, and it's gonna have a lot of the main things that you need. This is a super cool little filter. We'll show you how that works in a second. You've got your light, which is actually this slim little light right here. It's gonna be a nice profile right over the tank. We'll show you that. Also, a couple key things, water conditioners. What else we got? Oh, we also have an all-in-one fertilizer. So when we put a live plant in here, we can use that too. But this dechlorinator is gonna be super important, especially when you're using tap water to put into your aquarium. And then one of the things that's awesome is it comes with this soil. Now, this soil actually allows you to plant live plants in this aquarium if you choose to. And so that's a really cool option if that's the route you wanna go. You can also just put something else in if you prefer, right? So we have a lot of the basic elements that we need. Let's take this out. And also, one thing that's cool that they've done for you is they've given you a leveling mat here. And the reason why this is important is if you don't have a leveling mat on your aquarium, not only can it not look right, but it can actually structurally affect your aquarium, especially in larger ones. So this is gonna give your aquarium a nice soft bed to sit on. All right, so we have our empty box, we have our fish, we have a lot of what we need. A lot of this from this point forward is just putting it together. And I'll show you a couple products that'll be helpful along the way. All right, so betas or bettas, and it really, you know what, I don't know if there's a right answer on that one. I've heard a lot of really experienced people say both. So whatever you prefer. I like to say beta, that's where I'm going. But they come from a very heavily planted natural environment. So doing something like a soil like this is cool. Definitely not a requirement, but it comes with this, so why not? So I'm just gonna pour this in here. It's already pre-washed, so you don't have to wash it. You can just pour it straight in. And I usually like to just pour about half of the bag in and then spread it out and see what I'm dealing with here. You know, you're going for a minimum of 1 inch. Up to 3 inches is also an option, but really not necessary. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put in this filter, and this is a super cool little nano filter. And the reason why is, number one, it comes with everything that you need, but the design, I think, is really awesome. So check this out. To open it, you can just pop off the bottom and then just pull out the media just like this. Let's take a look at what we have inside here. So a couple things. Number one is make sure you do this step because you don't want to leave this bag in there on the media. So basically what you have here is you have 2 bits of filtration. You've got a little bit coarser filtration and then you've got a little bit finer filtration, and the water is going to flow through here and it's going to take up all of the fish waste and gunk and things like that that are in your aquarium, keep your water nice and clean. So now that we've removed that bag, we just make sure we line things up here, and that will be in place, and we can put it right back in here just like it was, and this will snap on the bottom. The next component that we have to look at here is your outflow, and this is one of the coolest parts of the design of this whole filter, and it comes with a couple little adapters. So ultimately it's going to end up in here, the water is going to flow out of here, the water is getting sucked up through here, through your filtration, and then it's going to spit out the top. And then it's going to shoot out these little spouts here. And what you have is an option to have that be vertical. So if you can picture this in the corner of your aquarium like this, it would go here, and then this would be down like this. So this would be like this in your aquarium. So that's one option. And the other option is you use this adapter here, and what that will do is keep this up like this. And now you have your filtration or your water coming out here closer to the surface. Just gonna set it in the corner like that. How easy was that, you guys? You just literally open it up, take a bag off, stick this on there, and you're set. And I can steer this wherever I want it to go. Filter's done, time to move on to the light. Done. It's just that easy. All right, so this little kit has just about everything we need, right? We have our light, we have our tank, substrate, and our filter. But one of the things that you do have to add in there is a heater. And the good news is that you can get this heater. It's really inexpensive, and you can actually bury it under the substrate, and it's just enough power to not take up too much space in here, which is really cool. We'll link this and the other products in the description below so you can check them out. But let's take a look at how this little jolly heater works. This little guy has a protective plastic shell. So what you can do is you can either keep it like this in the aquarium, or you can even bury it under the substrate, which is what we'll do, just to keep it out of the way, which is cool. Make sure though that you do not put this in and turn it on until you have water in the aquarium. So first we'll lay this in here and then we'll put the water in. All right, so the next thing that I want to do here, and this is totally optional, this is a cool little line called Betta World from Aqua Naturals. You can check them out on our site. Link is in the description below. And what I want to do here is just add a little bit of interest in here to our substrate. And one of the things that's cool about these is they come in these little 1 pound bags. I think this is like $8. So just a way in which you can just add a little bit more to your tank. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these in here and see what we come up with. I also love the way that these look under the light, and they're gonna look really cool when they get wet under the water too. Again, no specific design, just whatever feels right. You can move it around whenever you want. All right, so we've got our tap water here, but before we put it in, one of the key steps that you have to know is you need to use the dechlorinator. Again, what's really cool about this is it comes with that. And the reason is chlorine is really harmful to your fish, and it's going to be really the most harmful thing in your tap water. So a dechlorinator is a quick way to get rid of that. So just follow the directions on the back. For this particular size aquarium, it's really gonna be a very little amount, just kind of like the base of this cap. So I'm just gonna fill that in right here. And then we are good to go, and we'll just drop that in. You can see that it was not very much, but that's all we need. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is use one of my favorite little tricks when filling an aquarium and trying not to create a mess in doing it. You can use a little cup like this. You can grab a coffee mug from your cabinet, just put it down here in the middle, and then pour from a pitcher into that, and what's going to happen is the splash will stay in the cup, and it should overflow and more gently fill the aquarium. Now, some of the water will be a little bit cloudy at first, but that's going to clear up in the first couple of hours once you turn on the filter. So let's check this out. All right, so we've got water in here. We've got the filter running. It's nice and heated up. Let me show you a couple things real quick on what we talked about before. So take a look at this filter arm. You see how it's running right along the surface of the water, and you can see the agitation? That's what we were talking about before, and that's what you want to go for. So that's cool. And also, you might notice a couple of these pieces of substrate floating around in here. Sometimes that happens when you put in new substrate like this. You can either pull it right out, or if there's a little bit more, you can use a net or a little cup to take it out. So all easy there. Now, before we bring our friend into his new home, I did bring out a few plants that are all part of the Anubias family. And the reason why these are cool is they're super pretty, but they're also low light, easy to grow. They don't even require planted soil. In fact, you don't plant them in the soil. They can just fit amongst rocks. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is Anubias nana petite, tiny little guy, Anubias nana, and Anubias golden. Now these are all available on our site, so we'll link the description in the description below. One of the things that I did here with this golden is I actually zip tied it to a rock. And that's just a way in which you can weight it down and not have to use any glue or anything like that. So I'm gonna start with this and put it in here and see what we've got. Now my goal is to try to get this guy into a corner, and in fact, instead of going that direction, I think I'm gonna go this way. And maybe just hide a little bit of that cord. And you'll notice that we just have all the roots free flowing. That's what you're looking for. And bettas love little shelters. So creating a little space behind this is something that can make him feel safe. We're not trying to bury any of this stuff or plant this in the soil. That's not necessary with these plants. Now, there are other plants on our site that you can check out where that is the case. And the good news is you would have the soil that would allow you to do it. Now with this one, what I'm looking to do is just create a little bit more of a shelter area in the middle of the tank. Bettas just love to have a little bit of shelter. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm just gonna rest it right here. And my goal here, or what I need to do, is make sure that I don't bury the rhizome. I don't bury this area here. I'm also gonna not bury the roots either, but what I am gonna do is just pull a rock over here, and I'm just gonna rest it kind of on the back side of this guy, just to keep him from floating. And once I get that situated, then I think we're gonna be set. All right, so one of the things that you're gonna wanna do is get a hold of a little safe start here from Tetra. This is on our website, link in the description below, and this is going to be just about a capful, maybe a capful and a half of beneficial bacteria. And the reason why you're putting this in the tank is it's going to make sure that some of the harmful ammonia and things like that that can happen when you cycle up a new tank won't harm your fish. And if you don't know about how to cycle a tank or the nitrogen cycle, if you're curious, check out this video right here. It's about time, or almost time, for him to go in. We have the water's all safe, it's heated up, we've got our filtration, but what we're gonna do is not just pour this straight into the tank. What we're gonna do instead is we're actually going to float him in the tank like this. And what that's gonna do is allow him to get used to the temperature of the water so that he doesn't get overly stressed or shocked if you were to just dump him straight in, right? So we're gonna let him float here actually for a couple of hours and just make sure that everything's cool, and then we'll get him in the water. Okay, it's been a couple of hours and he is all set and ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna push this down into the aquarium and just let that water mix in and let him gently swim right out. You don't need to dump or pour or anything like that. Just let him find his way out. You can help twisting the cup just to give him some direction, and out he goes. I bet you're thinking to yourself, wouldn't it be fun to feed my beta? And the truth is, it would. Now, one thing to know is when you first put a fish in a tank, typically they're a little stressed out, you probably would be too, and you don't necessarily want to feed them right away because they probably won't eat. What we will do though is show you this cool little trick that's on this package, and we might drop a couple pellets in there and see what happens, and then we'll feed a little bit more and a little bit more regularly starting tomorrow. But check this out. This is this little Betta Bio Gold from Hikari, and the way it works is you have all your food down here, and you can put just enough food in the bottom of this little tube right here to feed your fish, and when you tip it, it will only dump that food in and this won't go in. So you can use this as your feeder. And the reason why that's important is because one of the biggest mistakes, especially that new hobbyists make, is they overfeed their fish and it causes a lot of problems. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just take scissors and we're gonna snip this little end off right here. That's gonna be our feeder. This top part actually conveniently folds down like this, which is pretty cool, and just stuffs in there, and then you've got like a little feeder that you can put by your tank. And I'm just gonna take even the 2 pellets that are in here at the bottom, and I'm gonna leave it at that. When you do feed, 3 pellets, maybe upwards of 10 at the most, is what you would wanna have down here in this little bottom area. And so what we'll do is we'll see if we can find him. There he is, and I'll just tip this over. The 2 little pellets dropped in. And he may or may not find them for now, but there's a couple little pieces of food in there for him to look for, and I bet tomorrow he'll be super hungry and ready to go. All right, so just a couple more things that you want to think about is taking care of this aquarium. Now, you only need a few things to get that done, and one is a little algae scraper like this that you can scrape off on the side, or you can run the sponge along the glass just to make sure it stays nice and clean. And the other one is a little vacuum like this. And if you don't know how to use an aquarium vacuum, check out this video right here where we walk through everything you need to know to successfully vacuum your substrate. One of the things you don't want to forget with a new aquarium like this, or any aquarium, is to put your light on a timer, and that will help make sure that you don't have too much light, which can cause some algae buildup. Probably around 6 hours is a good place to start, and then you can go from there. And once you have that set, you're dialed in, and this aquarium, give it a little bit of time, is going to be crystal clear.